Big night, ladies and gentlemen. It is a big night for Democrats across the country. Yeah, well, in Virginia, it wasn't really a national thing, but these were some nationalized elections. Ralph Northam, you know, not exactly my pick. Didn't like some of his moves at the end, but that's irrelevant. Can we give it up for the repudiation of not just Donald Trump, but the repudiation of white supremacy in the United States of America? Because I honestly believe that's what happened more than anything else. Donald Trump tried to make this a referendum, try to make this not just Donald Trump, right? But Ed Gillespie and the rest of them really tried to play to the lowest common denominator. It won in 2016. It did. It won in 2016. But can we give a round of applause to the fact that it did not win in 2017? And so here we are. Ralph Northam is the new, well, at least at last check. I don't think there's an official calling of it yet. But this has been a big night. And you're going to have to forgive me because a lot of the results I have on my phone, right? I don't have my whole team tonight. It's just me in the saddle. So I'm going to be holding my phone up quite a bit as I get the information. A huge win for the LGBTQ community, particularly the trans community. I'm reading a tweet from Laura Bassett. Laura Bassett is Huffington Post politics reporter and consultant on a show for Netflix. But I'm reading her tweet. Trans woman Danica Roem, if I pronounce the name correctly, forgive me, defeated anti-LGBTQ candidate Bob Marshall, Republican in Virginia, becoming the first trans state legislator. That is huge. America's first. So congratulations on that. Another big win. And actually, before I move too quickly past that, Danica beat the man who wrote the anti-trans bathroom bill. That's who lost to a trans woman, and the trans woman, Danica, is the first trans woman legislator, state legislator in the country. Yep. See, if I'm gonna dig in deep tonight, it's gonna be here. Identity politics matter. Identity politics do matter. It is the weaponization of identity politics that are problematic that we must confront on a regular basis, because we see it foremost from the Democratic Party weaponizing politics, weaponizing identity politics to silence people from particular communities. It's a fascinating technique. I mean, in that way, the Democratic Party is as Machiavellian and politically brilliant in a very dark way as Republicans are, right? That's the problem. It's the weaponization of identity politics. And if you're going to communicate this message, you have to communicate it very specifically. It's not that identity politics is a problem. The problem is the weaponization of identity politics to the detriment of those identities. And what does that mean? That means when you get black faces and you prop them up to hurt black communities. And you can't criticize that black person, because if you criticize them, you're automatically labeled as a racist. That is the weaponization of identity politics. That is what's problematic. It's problematic to this day, but identity matters. So setting aside all of the nuanced criticisms and critiques, identity simply matters. You cannot wash it away. You cannot piss it away. You can't dismiss it. You know, all the people who wanted us to say, you know, there's a lot of people, I think both progressive and neoliberal or liberal. I'm going to drop the neo for a minute. So liberal and progressive, who felt squeamish about identity, and they felt that we weren't at a place in America where we could actually criticize or we could actually discuss have nuanced conversations about identity. But tonight, because of how putrid and how disgusting Donald Trump is, tonight we have seen Yeah, I just want to check the audio. Tonight, we've seen a complete repudiation of Donald Trump-style politics, which is to seize on white supremacist identity politics, right? They engage in white supremacist, identity politics full-throatedly. It's like, it's beyond comprehension to think that Republicans don't use identity politics. They just use a white supremacist identity politics. I just read somewhere that Tucker Carlson has shifted his coverage from campaign coverage to from election night coverage to probably, I don't know, something about Uranium One. I guarantee you, if there's anything that Tucker Carlson is talking about tonight, is Uranium One. Good luck with that, Tucker. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what you're drinking, but cheers, everyone. 857-600-0518 if you want to join the weigh in on the conversation. A lot of other results. So those were just two. Let's see who else won. And again, forgive me for having my phone up. I just have to, this is all coming in pretty quickly, so I have to read it from my phone, from my source. So we also had a Democratic Socialist who won. I'm trying to find his name, but a Democratic Socialist who won, and basically, oh, okay. Let me start here. James Bice. People are upset. These aren't big wins. They won states they're supposed to win. Well, listen. Here's why it's a big win. So thank you for saying that, because now, besides just giving the results and charting the racehorse of politics, which I absolutely love, like you guys would have to not like my show anymore, because I absolutely see election night like the freaking Super Bowl. Like, I want to cover it. I want to cover who's in the head, who's ahead, what's the drama. I love that shit. But there's also the ability to have a nuanced conversation about it. Here's why it's important, motherfucker. Sorry. Here's why it's important. It's important because it was seen as a pivot point in American history, quite honestly, for the Republican Party specifically, and how the Democratic Party was going to handle it. For the Republican Party, it became a moment where they looked at themselves and say, how do we continue winning? Can we continue winning with Donald Trump's model? Can we continue winning, pandering to white supremacist identity politics? Can we continue winning like Ed Gillespie? Can we win on the idea that we need to keep the monuments up? Like, that's the most important thing, is for us to keep the monuments up. That's literally what he ran on. I'm going to play an ad from him in a minute so that you can see that that's quite literally what he ran on. You know, so yeah, okay, if you think that that's not important for, think about what would have happened if they won. If they would have won, then it would have been a signal to every single Republican across the country to say, I'm not really good. I'm not really up on all of my racism, so I'm going to have to get a coach. I'm going to have to get a consultant and, hire Richard Spencer to teach me how to be a more effective racist. But if this is how we're going to win elections, guys, then hell, alt-right it is. Tonight was a repudiation of the alt-right. And now on the Democratic side, this is a thing that pisses me off, and this is why I'm going to bring it up. On the Democratic side, you had people who were afraid of confronting racism and white supremacy and the alt-right and wedge issues and social issues and cultural issues, the culture war. They were getting squeamish about it because they felt as though this was a winning proposition for Donald Trump. And it's not because they didn't want to talk about the issues. It's not because they didn't want to fight for those issues. It's that they felt like America was at a place where this type of politics can still win. And it actually started to pan out that way, right? If you look at the Real Clear Politics polling in Virginia, rather, the polling started to converge. I mean, I think last week Ralph Northam was at 8 points or 7 points, somewhere between 7 and 8 points. And this week, when, right before the election, I think it was like 3 points. And that's when he started running ads about saving the monuments. Let me pull that up while we're talking about it, right? He was running ads about, we need to preserve the monuments. And this is the best thing, this is the defining factor between me and Ralph Northam. And then you start seeing a convergence of the polls. And that was terrifying for quite a few Democrats and quite a few Democratic consultants. Not me. That's why I'm not a consultant. But not for me. My thing is this. Listen, if America is still in a place where you can win not by mistake, not by the convergence of a whole bunch of factors of a candidate who would lose to the fuckface von clown stick Donald Trump and all the mistakes that Hillary Clinton made. Not by that, but as a specific strategy, right? That's a terrifying notion when you think one of the two major parties in the United States was going to look at the turnout from tonight, the results from tonight, and decide whether or not, I'm not really up on all my racism, not all my blatant racism. I mean, I dog whistle pretty good, but I mean, if that Ed Gillespie was going to win off of, being a redneck son of a bitch, then I guess I could be all right. Send me Richard Spencer. Let him consult. That's why tonight is big, because it said to America, it said, and it's not by before I finish that thought, it's not by a big enough margin. I'm going to tell you that much. This is not what we cannot read from tonight is that white supremacy is dead. But what we can read from tonight is that you better not run on white supremacy. Run on white supremacy if you want to. Run on bigotry if you want to, and see what happens. And I think Democrats I think that it's simple. It's simple. I don't get it. Why is it so difficult for people? Maybe I should be a consultant. Pay me $100,000 a month to tell you how to win, because I can tell you how to win. You have to have an economic message that resonates with everybody. And right now, Republicans are making it uber easy for you to have a winning economic message. That economic message is, we're going to create jobs, and we're not going to raise taxes on the middle class, because the Republicans are going to raise taxes on the middle class. Matter of fact, not only are we not going to raise taxes on the middle class, we think the top 1% should pay their fair share, You know what's coming after that, right? Not only that, so you have to have an economic message that resonates, but we have a complete and full-throated repudiation of white supremacy and bigotry in any shape, form, fashion. I don't care how it comes. I did a video a couple years ago, and it was, just kind of like a impromptu video, but because it dawned on me, right? It's not necessarily a popular take, but it's a take that I really believe in. Hatred is hatred. It just comes in different forms, and it's experienced by different people. But bigotry, racism is sexism. Sexism is Islamophobia, is xenophobia. It's all the same hatred. It's just experienced by different people in different ways. And so this is a repudiation of bigotry in general. Yes, there's still plenty of bigots in America. They're always going to be here. Matter of fact, I'm going to read some tweets from the bigot in chief, Donald Trump, right? They're still here. The percentages are too high. It was too close. We need to get to a place where if you think that you could run on white supremacy, you're going to get like 1%, 2%. That's progress. So tonight's election doesn't represent progress. It just signifies to most of America that, okay, we can move from here. Now we see that white supremacy and bigotry in general is not a winning strategy. It can win if you run the wrong candidate. It can win if you don't have a message that you can stand by on your own. It can win. But it is not a winning strategy, and those two things are entirely different notions.